Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. AITA for letting my brother call me dad and refusing to tell him the ugly truth. I'm very aware that this narrative seems to be incredibly unlikely and fabricated, and I'm well aware that there will be several comments below. Sorry, but this tale is 100% factual and is now a heated subject of conversation in my family. My parents were both 19 when I was born, and my only other sibling, let's name him Josh, was born when they were 42. They split soon after Josh was born. He was 4 months old at the time, and neither wanted anything to do with the kid. At the time, I was 23 and living alone with my then girlfriend, who was 21 at the time, now my wife, and I tried everything I could to persuade at least one of them to take care of young Josh for his sake and the sake of the family, but they refused vehemently and said that I should be taking custody of him instead. So I became my brother's legal guardian. And he's been living with us for the last 12 years, and things have been going extremely well for us. Josh, now almost 13, has been calling me dad, my wife mom, and our 2 children, 4 female, 9 male, his siblings, and he has no clue who his true parents are, and to be honest, I let it all slip. He has no clue I'm his biological brother, not his father, and I'm beginning to feel terrible and strange. Some of my relatives and aunts come to visit on occasion, and they are horrified that he refers to me as dad, and they are amazed that I haven't informed him the truth. They messaged me often, chatted to me privately, and I can't speak to them without this one specific issue coming up, badgering me to let him know already, but I resisted. I discussed this with my wife, and she agreed that telling him the truth would be wrong since none of my parents wanted to take care of him. And I'm the only person in the world who has provided him with the father figure that everyone deserves. I believe he has the right to know who he is to me and who I am to him, but he has already suffered enough, and I just want things to remain as they are. AITA, Reddit. Would do if I tell him the truth. Update 1. Approximately 70% of the responses advise me to inform my kid who I really am, and some urge sooner rather than later. I just got up to talk about it with my wife, and after much deliberation, we've concluded that it's best if the truth comes from us, and it needs to come now. It's late for us right now, but we'll get this to him first thing this week, if not tomorrow. Thank you very much. Update 2. Hello everyone. Many people asked me to provide an update on my earlier article and to seek competent guidance before taking issues into my own hands. Please accept my apologies for the length. I'll attempt to be as thorough as possible while keeping this brief. I went to my local therapist and explained my problem and asked him what I should do. To summarize, he stated he's heard similar stories before and that it's ideal if I notify him as soon as possible for a variety of reasons, including ensuring that my biological children are present. Multiple reasons. I polled a couple of my closest friends, and the majority of them responded the same thing. My wife and I decided to sit down with the kids and pop the enormous bubble. I invited my brother Josh to come closer, and I made certain that I hugged him tight and made him feel at ease. He asked, "What's going on?" But I began by telling him how much we cared and loved him, then told him everything about my parents. I put them in a bright light in the hopes of a reunion and who I am to him, then quickly hugged him and my other 2 children together and told him that I love all my children the same and nothing will change my love for him. He was taken aback and asked if I was kidding, but I was beginning to weep at this point, so he realized I wasn't. My biological children were also taken aback. He was in tears and questioned why I hadn't told him sooner. I didn't know what to say and simply said, "I was only trying to protect you. I'm sorry, and I hope you will forgive me." But he left, which was understandable. Again, naturally, he didn't chat to me as much. I repeatedly invited him to go to the park and play some football, which he loves, and do all of his favorite activities, but he flatly refused and even seemed irritated at times because I was even talking to him. I believed I'd made a huge mistake until, one day, when my wife and 2 children were out shopping and we were alone, he approached me and said, "I know you're not my biological father, but I want you to know you're the finest father in the world. Sorry for the inconvenience." I embraced him, and things became rather emotional. It would be a massive lie to suggest my home is back to normal, far from it, but things are slowly, ever so slowly, improving. There's nothing to conceal anymore, and it's as if we've been reborn. Josh is a tough kid, and he took it considerably better than I expected. I'll look into treatment for him to help him recuperate in case things don't work out in the long term. I will aim to be a wonderful father to my children and a great father to my brother/son. Thank you, Reddit, for encouraging me to write this joyful ending. Thank you for all of your opinions and recommendations, except for the snide ones about my relatives and aunts. EHQ. I adore all of you. Have a good night. Story 2. Ada for telling my mom that she's the cause of all my brother's problems. I am a 33-year-old female with a sister, 30-year-old female, and a younger sibling, 17 male. My mother, single mother, our parents split when she was pregnant with my brother, was an amazing mother to both me and my sister. However, mother changed her tune dramatically when parenting my brother, so much that I volunteered to raise my brother instead. So my brother, who is currently a junior in high school, struggles with self-esteem problems, particularly in relation to how he looks/weighs. He was a fat baby and my mother often said nasty things to him, which I believe harmed his self-esteem. My sister and I used to call him adorable, gorgeous, and so on, but our mother's comments certainly had a greater impact on him. To put things into context for you, he is 6'1", underweight, and objectively attractive, yet he considers himself unattractive and/or obese. I, a 5'8" lady, weighed more than him and am in good shape. Anyway, despite everything, he's still a happy and chatty child who adores our mother, which makes me more furious. Now for the problem. I created a mess in the kitchen while doing some baking yesterday, then fell asleep on the sofa due to weariness and neglected to clean up. When my mother noticed the mess, she yelled at my brother, who replied that he would clean it up and that he was sorry. He practically acknowledged to doing something he didn't do, and when I found out, I told my mother it was my fault, but she said it was all right. I begged her to apologize to him, but she refused, saying that he was a guy and she didn't have to. I became enraged and warned her that if she continued doing this, her son would do something catastrophic. She stated she wasn't doing anything, and I remarked something like, "Seriously, you are essentially the source of all of his troubles." I also referred to her as a bad mother. She became enraged. "I didn't go through all this garbage for my own kid to choose a boy's side of her own mother's," she said. She made many gender-based statements, such as, "You're a female, you should take my side, and he's a guy, he deserves it," among others. She then went to her room and fell asleep. To be honest, I'm simply puzzled right now. Also, although I don't regret sticking up for my brother, I think I should have avoided blaming her for all of his problems since it's a large charge and she's visibly offended. I'm wondering whether I should have been more mature. Plus, she wasn't a horrible mother to either me or my sister, so maybe that was uncalled for as well. But Ada, why do you blame my mother for all of my brother's problems? Update. I went to chat to my brother, who was in his room, a little after I posted the post. He was fine, but when I asked him how he felt about, well, everything, he burst into tears. My heart was shattered into a million pieces. I realized then that he couldn't remain with our mother any longer. So I contacted my 5-year-old lover and asked of my brother and I could stay with him for a while. He has the necessary room and my brother gets along with him, so he consented. My mother didn't give a damn. She couldn't even kiss him goodbye. She asked if I may remain but totally overlooked the fact that my brother was there. I tried my utmost to remain cool and not yell at her, but the way she was behaving was so cruel. According to my sister, my mother continues to make disparaging remarks about my brother even when he is not around. So being calm is quite difficult right now. Anyway, I also phoned my father and essentially told him everything. He was irritated at first since no one had told him this before, and he would not have left any of us in another nation if he had known. But he calmed down and chatted to my brother for almost an hour, and by the time he hung up, my brother was crying with excitement and happiness. It's still uncertain if my father will visit, if my brother will move, or how we'll go from here on out to you-know-what, but I can guarantee that my mother will never be able to say anything to my brother again. Unfortunately, I am unable to place my brother in treatment due to a lack of funds, but I will attempt to speak with one of my friends who is well versed in the field of mental health and see if I can assist my brother. Thank you to everyone who contributed their 2 cents. Edit, Jesus, please. Thank you so much for your advice, knowledge, awards, really, whoa, generosity, and everything else. I've considered everything and attempted to react to as many responses as possible. There are much too many. I'm going to conduct some study and check into getting my brother some assistance. I'd also want to mention that if you're going through or have gone through anything similar, I'm cheering for you. I know many of you aren't religious, but I'm keeping you all in my prayers, seriously. Thank you so much for everything, and I wish you everyone a good day/night.